Welcome back, Forts fans, to the third installment of How to Be a Pro at Vanilla Forts. In this guide, we're going to be talking about the basics still, yet again, devices. There are 8 of them. We're going to be talking about how they work, when to place them, and when to upgrade. Here at SynergyGamingTV, we do all sorts of gaming content and tutorials. If you're new here, consider subscribing. Hit the notification bell so that you get the alert when the next tutorial video comes out. Make sure you guys check out the guide. Link is in the description below. Head over there and follow along. You're watching SynergyGamingTV. I'm your host, Synergy, and I'll see you in the video. Alright guys, so we're here in a sandbox once again. I don't want to be harassed by players or AI while we're simply just talking about the devices. So the first thing we're going to talk about today are the mines. Now mines here, you start, every map is different. You typically start with 2. If we click on the mine here, you're going to see right down here that there is +4 metal per second, and it subtracts -5 energy per second from your stores. So each mine generates 4 metal per second in the default stage. Now, you have to place mines on ore. Okay, so when you click on the mine, you're going to see that the area that it highlights is green. The other way to tell is actually by looking at the ore here. If you can see it right there, these are ore deposits right in there, the actual rocks. Okay, that's what you're looking for. You will see this gray area in a lot of other places. This is just spots that you can connect to, but you need the actual minerals for your mines to work. So that's a really good indicator of where you can place your mines if you're trying to plan a little bit in advance before actually placing the mine, instead of just selecting it and figuring it out. Using the green highlighted area is another really good way to find your base. If you're starting a map and you happen to miss right off the bat, you can just click a mine and figure out where the green highlighted area is. That will be your base. Now, in matches, it's very common to place your mine first, then you'll place some technology. You'll see we have some down elsewhere in the map. So we'll place this down here like that, and we'll continue building a little bit of a base. Now, there are different timings between 1v1 matches and 4v4 matches. Okay, in a 1v1 match, it's really common to place your technology down. Then you're going to come up here, you're probably going to do one of these, and you're going to place a turbine, and you'll keep saving and keep saving and keep saving, and eventually you'll place your tier 2 technologies. You can see we already have another one down, and place your tier 2 tech. Then usually after that you place your 4th mine, and then whatever. In multiplayer matches, it's not uncommon to place your 5 mines down sometimes after your first technology or after your second, but you'll notice that it's more defensive to place your mines first, just so that you can deal with the early harass. In multiplayer maps, you're going to be harassed by more than one player, so the damage you're going to receive is going to be a lot more. So having those resources kind of stored up, ready to go, is going to be helpful. Now, protecting your mines is really important. So as we're building our normal base here, obviously this is just at a little sink here as we're trying to show for an example. We'll build kind of a standard base here, bringing this down. This is a cool little trick to get a little more enforcement in front of your base. A little bit of extra support there, something like that. You can even drag this over if you wanted to. This one here, and bring it over. We'll go over more of these techniques later in a base building guide, but just kind of some neat ideas to get some more wood. So protecting your mines is really important, and the reason is, one, they cost a ton to repair. They're very, very expensive to repair, and they do not generate metal while they're repairing. So it's really important that you want to protect your mines. Now, I'm gonna let you guys in a little secret. Okay, come here. Come closer. Even closer. Come on. You can actually place 6 mines in vanilla, and I'm going to show you how. Okay? Once you've built your base kind of out like this, we're just doing a very, very generic... Hold on, I need the weight over here. We'll just use a rope temporarily to hold this. Okay, so as you're building your base out here, let's just say you're doing a double layer of wood spam in the front, like something like this. Okay, now if you change this out to wood and to wood, you can place a 6th mine right here on the edge. Now, keep in mind you're going to have no metal protecting your mines, but it is pretty greedy and pretty sneaky. So if you get away with it, probably not in a 1v1 or a 2v2, but you probably could get away with it in a 4v4. You could protect this with a shield or a portal or something like that. We've talked about that in the previous videos, but that is a really good secret. Okay, so the next thing we want to talk about are upgraded mines. So we happen to have a little base over here that has some upgraded mines in it. Right now you'll see here an upgraded mine produces 6 metal per second, but it also drains 10 energy per second. So some players have asked me what is or when would you upgrade a mine? Now, essentially you don't want to upgrade your mines until you have placed all of your default mines, your basic mines in the map first, then you want to upgrade after. Now I'm going to insert a little clip here right now of the math as to why you want to do this, and we'll do that right now. Alright guys, so I've pulled down my whiteboard and I'm going to draw you a visual representation as to why it's better to place a mine than it is to upgrade. First off, we'll start by drawing a mine here. This represents a normal mine, making its 4 metal per second. Okay, and we'll draw our upgraded mine down here, like this, with a little white box to tell you that, and a little dude on the inside. Okay, so a normal mine, when you place it down, it costs you 300 metal. Okay, it generates 4 metal per second. That means in 75 seconds you will have it paid off. An upgraded mine in this timeline does not exist. So from here, this line represents the upgrade line. So if you have 2 mines sitting side by side and you upgrade one, this is kind of the comparison as to why it's better to place one than it is to upgrade. Okay, so this whole time, this mine here that we're comparing is still generating metal. All right, 4 metal per second. This whole time it's generating that. When you hit the upgrade button, you are spending 75 metal. Okay, and then for 22 seconds while it's upgrading, it's generating nothing. So for 22 seconds, it generates nothing. 0 metal. This one, on the other hand, is still generating the 4 metal per second. 4 metal per second times 22 seconds equals 88 metal. So 88 metal. So it's cost 75. We've lost the fact that it's not making the 88 metal. So a total cost of 163 metal so far for the 22 seconds that this has been upgrading. Now that it's done upgrading, it starts to make more metal. It makes 6 metal per second. Okay, so keep in mind that this mine has been generating metal the entire time. This one has not. So in order for us to calculate the profit that this upgraded mine is going to make, we can only use the profit. So if the normal mine is making 4 metal per second and the upgraded mine is making 6 metal per second, the difference is 2. So how long is 2 metal per second going to take to pay off the 163? So we'll divide that by 2 metal per second, and that's going to equal 81.5 seconds. Now, that's 81.5 seconds from the time that the mine starts producing. It's not including the 22 seconds of when it was upgrading. So we'll add that on. 22 seconds for a grand total of 103.5 seconds. So that's how long it takes for a upgraded mine to pay for itself in comparison to just placing an additional mine. So once again, as we've talked about in that little clip that I just showed you guys of the simple math, that is for a 1-to-1 mine comparison ratio. Obviously the numbers change a little bit when you have more mines generating metal. The punishment is a little bit less when you're upgrading a mine, but that's just to give you the fundamentals of the actual behind the scenes math of when to upgrade your mines. The other thing is to make sure that you upgrade your mines in the back first. The only reason is that just in case the front of your base gets hit or they do some sort of shenanigans in the front, you don't want to waste the extra generation that you've already spent, as you've noticed through the clip that we just inserted there. It's better to have them in the back just in case for defensive and gradually upgrade your way forward. Now, a quick little tip for upgrading: you can right click and then hit the little arrow to upgrade. You can also just mouse over and hit the U key as well by default to upgrade manually. Alright guys, so the next thing we're going to talk about is turbines. Now turbines are your main source for energy production. Energy is basically required to build just about everything, but it's also required to fire weapons, which makes energy incredibly important. You can see here on the player 1 base, we've got some turbines already. If we click on it here, you're going to see that it is making plus 31 energy, and then in brackets, 71%. Okay, that 71% represents efficiency. Now, something that turbines have to work on that mines don't is finding and locating the wind floor. What do I mean by that? Well, on any map, if you come down here and click on the wind turbine and then just hover over anywhere on the map, you will see that the efficiency will change. So the wind floor essentially is where your turbine is at 100% efficiency. So the wind floor on this map is right about here. So if we look at player 1's turbines, they're at 71% efficiency in the standard turbine location. But if you look at player 2, because we found the wind floor, you're going to see that they're sitting at 100% efficiency. Okay, so finding your wind floor is really important. Another thing to consider is building a wind tunnel in your base. And what do I mean by that? I mean this. If we come all the way over here, you'll see that these turbines here, they're producing 44 energy at 100%, 92%, 100%. But if we make this tunnel longer and close in these turbines, I'll show you what happens. So remember that this is at 100%. So bring this in, bring this in, and bring this in. Already by just making a long base, down to 88%. Okay, so if we continue to, you know, place our turbines and stuff, and then we want to close this in like this, you'll see that these turbines, once that's all built, drops down to 73%. So the reason that is when you're going to place a turbine, you'll see this wind cone. All right, it's the little white triangles on the screen. Once you start to impede that wind cone, the efficiency of your turbines is going to start to decrease. So keep that in mind when you're placing your turbines. That's really important to make sure you're getting the most efficiency and the most energy production. Now, protection. In most cases, a lot of players will just use a shield like this. It's the best because a laser can just rip right through here and destroy everything. We've talked about that in the previous video. You can also use sandbags, and we'll talk about that in the sandbag section of this tutorial. A note that I want to make that's really, really important when you're first starting to build your base and you're getting all of your technology down, until you have both technologies down and a weapon, you don't need any more than 3 turbines. I know a lot of new players build like 8 turbines before they build anything else. You need 2, maybe 3, depending on what you're doing, but 2 is plenty enough to get weapons out in a timely manner. So keep that in mind. Okay, and moving on to upgraded turbines. Now, upgrading a turbine works the same way as mines. You can right-click and hit the arrow, or mouse over and hit the U key. And for 100 metal and 1000 energy, you too can have your very own upgraded turbine. As you can see, we've got the 2 side by side here. A regular turbine is producing 44 energy at 100% efficiency, and the upgraded turbine is generating 67 energy at 100% efficiency. So as you can see there, that is a 50% increase in production for approximately 50% of the cost of a regular turbine. So just like mines, the same fundamentals that you want to try and place additional turbines rather than upgrading. The math works out almost exactly the same. The numbers are different, but in terms of percentages, the numbers are almost exactly the same. And as well with turbines, just like mines, you want to make sure that you're upgrading your turbines in the rear of your base first, just in case you get attacked. For defensive purposes, that you're not going to lose your upgraded turbines in case the front of the base gets attacked. Okay, and moving on to metal storage. Have you ever wanted to increase the maximum amount of metal that your base can store? Well, fear not, I have a solution for you. For one easy payment of 200 metal and 500 energy, you too can have your very own metal storage. Now, most bases will start with a metal storage and a battery for energy, but as new players, keep in mind that you want to check for those. I cannot tell you how many times I, myself, and have heard new players say, oh, geez, I forgot to build storages. It's really important that you make a mental note to check and see. if we click on this metal storage here, you'll see that it increases our total capacity by 300. Down here in the bottom right-hand corner, I have a maximum metal storage of 1200. If we place another metal storage down, when it finishes building, this cap will increase by 300. Up to 1500. There we go. Very important note. You should not be building storages of any kind other than the ones that you start with, unless you are trying to build a plasma beam or a howitzer, in which case you'll need 2 metal storages total. Okay? You do not want to be storing any of your resources. You should be spending and building. So do not, under any circumstances other than building a plasma or a howitzer, are you going to place additional storages in your base. Huge mistake that new players make. Okay, and the next thing we're going to talk about is batteries. So batteries work the same as metal storage, except that obviously it's for energy. They cost 150 metal and 620 energy. It increases your total capacity by 2,000. So you'll see here in the bottom right hand corner, we've got a total of 7,000. We're going to place another one right here in the front of the base. And you should see it when it finishes building. Our maximum cap will go up to 9,000. Now, again, most maps start with 1. You'll want to make sure that you're checking for that at the beginning of a map. Now, this goes for the same thing as metal. If you are building storages for any other reason than to build a plasma, where you need a total of 2, and a howitzer, you need a total of 3 batteries in your base, you should not be building storages at all. Okay? I see so many new players do this. Don't do it. Don't build them unless you're going for howitzers or a plasma laser. Now, something else that's very, very interesting with batteries is that they explode. So we're going to give a cool example here. We're gonna jimmy this base around here just a little bit. We'll move some technology around. We've got fast building on here for this example. We'll just say that this base is still here. We'll double brace everything up, and we're going to fill it full of batteries. Now, I've seen a lot of players do this as well in my games. I'm just waiting for resources here. Cool little tip trick. If you want to flip the direction of your weapons, you can come down here and click this little button here. You'll see this goes towards your enemy, and then forcing it to go right and forcing it to go left. We're going to force ours to go left. Place down this cannon, and you are going to see what happens when batteries get hit. They explode. And when they explode real big. So you can create chain reactions with your batteries, and they will explode and then explode the one next to it and go all the way up to your core. So you want to make sure that you keep the batteries away from your core. That's really, really important. Alright guys, so the next thing we're going to talk about are sandbags. As you can see, we've changed the map here just so I can provide some examples a little bit better. Sandbags are pretty awesome. They're very cheap. They cost 0 metal and only 300 energy. So in terms of being able to protect yourself against certain things, they're actually quite good. Now, even though they don't cost metal, they do add a substantial amount of weight to the base, so it's definitely something to consider when you're building your base. Now, remember how I said at one point that you could use sandbags to defend your turbines? Well, this is what I was talking about right down here. So by cutting this in half and putting sandbags in front, it's really, really cheap defense in terms of protecting your turbines. Now, a shield in this case is going to cost 277 metal and 350 energy to build. So that is a lot of metal at the beginning, or you can just place some sandbags. So over here, I left this one blank so I could show you how to do it. Essentially, you want to put your back bracing here, and then you're just cutting this in half, up like this, and then you want to make sure that you connect all 3 of the points so it gets a nice solid background, and then place your sandbags. Now, sandbags are great in some situations, however, they're really bad in other situations, and one of them being miniguns. So miniguns used to not have a very good advantage against sandbags. It has since the release of this video has been buffed, so they do a lot of damage to sandbags, and this is what we're talking about. So, as you can see, they basically did nothing. They chewed right through the first layer of sandbags and the wood. They're not recommended protection any longer. They also don't do a whole lot of protection against rockets, which is unfortunate. As you can See there, basically just blew the base all the heck. Anyway, a big part of that isn't so much that the sandbags got blown up, but the wooden braces that hold the sandbags basically destroyed. The next thing is Nukes and Warheads. Now, it does protect decent against the swarms, as you'll see here when we launch. Right, the swarms don't do a whole lot of damage. They do light some things on fire, which is a problem. Some things here. One of them did go down, but overall, not too bad. But in terms of nukes, obviously 2 of them are just going to shred this whole base. As you can see here, they'll just fly across and blow everything up. So sandbags are not a very good counter to nukes. However, they are a great counter to fire beams, and we'll show you this right here. So if we target right directly at the sandbag resists the fire beam quite well. It does still light stuff on fire, but it does prevent the fire beams from penetrating the base. Sandbags are one of the greatest counters to fire beams in the game. They're absolutely fantastic. So if you're being attacked by the fire beam plasma combo, use sandbags. Very, very good. Another great use for sandbags is used for the shock and awe commander, and I will explain that when we talk more about commanders. Okay, Forts fans, we're moving on to the final device that Forts has to offer you players, and that is the repair station. Now, the repair station is by far the most misunderstood and misused device in Forts. Okay, it's been talked about in the Forts community as being incredibly bad, and that's simply not true, and I'm going to debunk that right now. So the very good things about repair stations are that they repair everything in radius. So you can see here when I click on one and bring it onto the map, it shows us the repair circle, or the repair radius, of all of the things that it's going to repair in that radius. So as you can see there, it basically repairs that entire base. So we're going to place that down in there, and we're going to kind of lead you guys in a couple of examples. So one of the great things, actually we're going to delete that for the sake of this. One of the great things about repair stations is that they also clear smoke. So if we use this smoke launcher here and fire at this base, you'll see how long this smoke stays in the way. It stays for a really long time. It's still there. That's a crazy amount of time. But if you fire it where there's a repair station, you can hear the repair station kicking in. It clears the smoke super quick. The other great advantage of repair stations is that they put out fires 50% faster. See it working here? Basically does nothing. Basically does nothing. So a repair station with sandbags, really good. Now, the problem with repair stations, and this is where they get the bad rep, is that although they do repair everything in a radius, okay, let's just build this up here. So if I do this, we've got all the sandbags and stuff here. We're going to give you guys another example. If we put this here and this here, we'll just put a gunner behind it. Okay, so you've got this here. One of the bad things is that it does repair everything in a radius. So when you fire, now it's repairing all of that damage, but it costs a lot. Okay, so by continuously having a repair station repairing all of your stuff, it's going to drain all of your metal really fast. Now, one of the biggest disadvantages in this situation, I think the angled door is actually causing some problems. It is that I can't fire back because devices, materials, and technologies that are being repaired don't work. Which means that if a door's being repaired, you can't open it, okay? If turbines or mines get hit and you're repairing them, they no longer produce metal or energy, okay? If your technology buildings take damage and you're repairing them, you can no longer build the devices from that technology. So no more weapons as long as that building is repairing. So those are massive reasons that repair stations are bad. So having said that, that leads into some repairing secrets. Okay, let's just say, for example, here, let's just do this really fast, because this is right across from kind of where I want to be. Let's just put in 1, 2, and 3. Let us do, I'm not sure if this is going to work or not. I'm kind of doing this on the fly. Okay, so if I have these minigunners here, all right, and I use these rockets, let's just use one rocket. I don't want to do too much damage. Okay, let me take some damage. Okay, so it blew up one gunner, and it lit everything on fire. In this case, really fast, if you repair these, the door doesn't open. But if I fire first and then repair, it's going to damage those because of that. It allows me to fire still, right? So repair stations have that effect where repairing right away, it stops your doors from working. But one of the great techniques, and a lot of pro players use it, is when you get attacked right away, you don't always repair. Okay, putting out fires is really good, but you don't always want to repair your doors and stuff right away. You want to fire the weapons that are behind it and then repair. So while the weapon is on or is reloading, that's when you want to repair, because you can't do anything with it anyway, right? So take damage, fire back, then repair. That is really, really important, and I promise you that will be a massive, massive advantage that you'll have against other players in competitive situations, that you will fire the weapons, that they'll instantly repair, they won't be able to fire back, and then you can essentially fire again if you're doing something like rockets, and they won't be able to fire back because they'll be spamming repair. What you should do, fire the rockets, when you get hit with the rockets, you fire back and then you repair. Very, very important. Guys, that does it for the devices tutorial video. Remember that a link to the guide, the full written guide, is in the description down below. And again, if you have any questions, make sure that you ask in the comments down below. If I don't know the answers, I will get back to you and make sure that I find someone who does, and we will get you the right answer. Once again, guys, I want to thank you so much for watching Synergy Gaming TV. I'm your host, Synergy, and we'll catch you guys on the flip side.